everybody, how's it going? Alec and Stuff here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel where we just hit 3,000 subscribers. What? Honestly, that is so insane to me. I mean, look at how much has changed since the last time we did one of these. I mean, I look different, you probably look different, and it's just, what a difference 1,000 subscribers makes. I mean, seriously, thank you all so much, each and every single one of you, for granting me the support that you've given me over the years. And, you know, I've been doing this whole YouTube thing for a while now, and whenever we reach milestones like this over here on YouTube or over on Twitch, it just blows my mind every single time, the support you guys give me. So, once again, for now, thank you so much, each and every single one of you, all 3,000 of you, for subscribing to the channel. Now, in lieu of such a momentous occasion, I thought it would be fun to host another Q&A. Now, I asked you guys over on Twitter and on Discord to send me questions for this video, and we actually got way more questions than we did the last time we did one of these. So, with all of that said, let's just jump into your questions, shall we? All right, time to get nice and comfortable here. So, our first question comes to us from Kira, who is a big friend of the channel. She says, why did you dye your hair blue, and were you nervous about it? So, I mean, I don't think I was nervous about it, and the reason why I dyed my hair blue actually comes from a decision that I made back in December of 2020. You know, it was basically around that time whenever I decided that this is going to be the year, 2021, that I'm going to get healthier, I'm going to present myself in a way that I've always wanted to, and one of those things was dyeing my hair. And, you know, blue's my favorite color, figures. So, I got healthier, I lost a lot of weight, I dyed my hair, I painted my nails, I came out publicly, and, you know, all these things, were basically just, stemming from that one decision that I made. So, 2021 was essentially the year of changes for me, and I don't see that stopping in 2022. I'm feeling more comfortable with who I am as the years have gone by, so thank you for the question. Our next question comes from EMC, who says, what was your favorite game to stream on YouTube or Twitch? You know, for as long as I've been streaming, you know, on Twitch, which is now about 2 years, and YouTube is even further, there has obviously been a lot of games and a lot of times and a lot of events that we've held on stream for various different games, and a lot of really fun memories come to mind, but I think the one that I had the most fun with was, it was September for the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario series. Super Mario 3D All-Stars came to Switch. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, I'm sure all of us remember that, but I decided that it would be really fun to make this event called Super Mario-thon, where we play through every single Super Mario game in that collection. And some of the subscriber and donation incentives at the time were completing every single game to 100%, and even going as far as reaching beyond Mario 3D All-Stars and playing Mario Galaxy 2 in addition to that as well. So, long story short, all the subscriber goals were met, and we completed each and every single game in that collection to 100%, and we also beat Mario Galaxy 2. So it was a really, really fun month-long event of just playing some of my favorite Mario games. I mean, you've got 64, Sunshine, I mean, it depends on who you ask. Galaxy's my favorite, and, you know, just being able to share all that with you guys on stream was super, super fun. So, yeah, Mario-thon from September of 2020 was probably my favorite stream moment. All right, next question comes to us from Leafy, who asks, what's your favorite Fortnite skin? So I'm not one of those people that really knocks Fortnite or anything like that. I just don't really play it all that much, but what I do play it for is some of the really impressive skin collaborations that they have with other games and other media franchises and stuff like that. It's really becoming its own Smash Brothers in a way in terms of scope and, you know, the partnerships that they've had. But anyway, to answer your question, Leafy, my favorite skin in the game at the moment is Jinx from League of Legends. It's her arcane version specifically. That TV show was my favorite of all time in the entirety of 2021. Fantastic show if you haven't seen it yet. And also, I'm just a huge fan of League of Legends in general. And, you know, there's a lot of other really cool skins in that game too, like Chun-Li, and there's a whole slew of like Marvel characters in there. There's Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, I mean, Master Chief, the list goes on and on. So There's a lot of really good ones, but I think my personal favorite is Jinx. All right, next question. I don't know what number we're on. Comes from Goose, who asks, can you remember what the first piece of music you ever bought was? I think I'm really gonna date myself with this one, but the first piece of music I ever remember buying physically on a CD, I remember it specifically because I would look through the album and everything, the little booklets that you would get with CDs, and it was either Millennium by Backstreet Boys or Speakerbox / The Love Below by Outkast, which is actually still a really good album to this day. At least I think so. Double album, if you want to call it that. So yeah, big Backstreet Boys fan ever since then. Their music slaps even to this day, and obviously Outkast is just a really great group altogether. It's a shame that they don't make music anymore, but yeah, there you go. What was your first word as an infant? Oh gosh, you know, I actually don't remember, so who better to ask than my mom? Hey mom.
Yes,
What are you doing?
I'm laying down.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and I'm recording a video, and I need this question answered. Okay?
Oh boy. Okay.
So, do you know what the first word that came out of my mouth as a baby was?
I want to say it was Dada.
Really? Do you feel offended by that?
A little.
All right, Mom, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye!
Bye.
Next question comes to us from Holdo, who says, is there a time period in your life, perhaps a specific year, that you wish you could go back to more distinctly than any other year? If so, what is it and why? You know, I've mentioned it a couple of times on streams and maybe on video as well, but my 100% confident go-to answer for any question like this is always 2007. The reason for that is because it was a time in my life where, you know, I didn't really have much responsibility. I was in middle school and I had a lot of free time. So I had the ability to just, you know, consume all of the media that was coming out at the time. And if you haven't really gone back and done a little bit of a checkup on the year 2007, let me be the first to assure you, there was a ton of really, really great movies, music, and games just coming out at that time. And I'll put them all on screen in case you need a little bit of a refresher. But this was a really great year for me. And having all this free time, like I said, and no responsibilities to just have my way with it all, it was fantastic. So 2007 is always my answer for that question. Unless, you know, some other year comes by and does that one, throws it to the wayside. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 2025 will be really, really good and somehow surpass 2007. I doubt it, but hey, I'm always willing to be wrong. All right, next question comes to us from Jolly Rich, who says, who/what inspired you to start YouTube? Ooh, that's a tough one. So this one's actually a little difficult to answer because there's a few, so I guess I'll just give you a few answers. Back when I was first starting YouTube and doing videos, you know, experimenting with the idea, one of my biggest inspirations was actually Andre from Game Explain. I had really admired the way that he was just super proactive about reporting news. I mean, whenever anything Nintendo related news was breaking, right, Game Explain was usually the first one to report on it and upload a video about it. And also a lot of their reviews and walkthroughs and even analyses at the time were just really, really was content that I looked up to. So a lot of my earlier content was sort of surrounded around that idea. But as I started to evolve and kind of figure out more about what it is that I wanted to do as a creator, I started looking to like other places, particularly streaming. And one of the first people that I watched who actually stops by our streams sometimes, and maybe he'll come across this video, but was Show Video Games. I remember coming across him, Sam is his name, in around 2014, and back then he was doing a lot of Pokemon shiny hunting and things like that. And one of the things that I really admired about his content in particular was just how warm and inviting and just overall entertaining his content was. And that's sort of the, like, those two pieces in those sorry. Those two individuals in particular were some of my biggest influences starting making YouTube and streaming content. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. And Sam and Andre, if you guys come across this, I love you guys. You guys are great. Next question. Barizo asks, what celebrity would you like to be and which one would you wanna date? You know, I think out of all the celebrities, if I could live in their shoes or just become them, I think, you know, for those that have known me for a while in real life and on streams as well, this might come as no surprise, but I think the person that I would pick to become would probably be Billy Joe Armstrong, which for those of you that don't know, he's the lead singer of Green Day. He's kind of lived a really interesting life, and one that, you know, is basically the stereotype for every rock and roll story. He started playing in bands in high school and then hit the big success, and like, that's it. Now he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and just overall really cool dude. So I would probably pick him. And then which celebrity would I want to date is also no surprise because I've talked about her before. Hayley Williams. 100%. Always. Since 2007. Love her. She's great. Our next question comes to us from Nanua, who asks, how do you think you'll approach video games in 2022? Will you finish one game at a time, or will you play a lot of games and continue the ones that most intrigued you? Also, what games are you excited for in 2022? You know, I think my approach for 2022 is going to be more complete, you know? So I have a little bit of a history of starting a game and then not finishing it because some other game comes out or something like that. That will not be the case in 2022. I'm making a commitment now that whenever a new game comes out, we're going to see it to completion, experience everything we can in it, and then once that's done, move on to the next one. So the beginning of that content cycle is going to be starting with Pokemon Legends Arceus later this month. And what games are you excited for in 2022? I mean, there's a lot of different options specifically for Nintendo, you know, because that's what I do. And, you know, I think the ones that I'm most excited for are obviously, you know, Breath of the Wild 2. That's a big one. I'm counting down the days until we see another glimpse at that game. But that one and also Splatoon 3 looks really, really great. I'm interested to see more about that game and what it's all about, you know? And I would also say probably Bayonetta 3. A lot of threes, but Bayonetta 3 has been a really big mystery for a lot of people for years now, and, you know, now that we were able to see a little bit of the game later on last year, I'm excited to see more. So, there you go. The Yellow Kazoo asks, what kind of pets do you have? Now, this one, I'm pretty boring, you know. My upbringing, I did not have any pets or anything like that, and, the most interesting pet that I had growing up was a few goldfish. They weren't goldfish, they were some other kind of fish, but, you know, fish aren't very interactive, so it's not the most exciting answer. But nowadays, now that I'm an adult, right, I have a snake, and his name is Rusty. He's super cute. He's made appearances on stream before. I'm sure a few of you watching this already knew that, but he is a 2-year-old king snake, and he's got a really cute pattern. It's called Mex Mex, and he's so baby. I mean, he's got googly eyes, he's got a smile that never goes away, and he is the most docile pet that I've ever seen. He has never hissed, he's never been aggressive. He just sits in his tank and waits for pets, and he is the perfect little noodle. I love him. All right, next question. God, we are just knocking him out today. Comes from David, who is actually another friend of the channel. What's up, David? Who asks, coolest brand/partnership that you've had, and what's your goal to link with in 2022? So the coolest partnership that I've ever had still is being a part of the Nintendo Brand Ambassador program. Seriously, one of the coolest opportunities that I've ever had as a creator, and I've gotten to meet so many cool and awesome people that I now consider friends as a result, and I feel like that was the easy answer, honestly. I mean, if you're watching right now, that's probably what you were expecting, but it is! That's my answer. It's my honest answer. And what's your goal to link with in 2022? Any company out there that's willing to partner with me that sells gaming chairs, I would appreciate. Would you like to know why? Well, let me just stand up real quick and show you. This chair has seen better days. Next question comes to us from Gibran, who asks, Did you ever cry to something in a video game? The yes. Yes, I have. That is the short answer. But yeah, there's been definitely more than a handful of games over the years that have brought me to the point of tears while I'm playing them. Walking Dead is definitely a pretty safe answer for a lot of people, I think. But, you know, I'm going to throw you guys a curveball and a bit of a game recommendation. So, back in 2016, there was this little game that I came across called To the Moon, which is a really cool indie game. And I don't really want to say much more about it because the less you know about it, in my opinion, the better. So, To the Moon, oh my gosh, emotionally wrecked me, and I still think about it to this day. Next question comes from Some Dumb Canadian, love the name, who asks, what was the best and worst game you played this year? So, I think the first half of this question has actually already been spoiled due to the top 5 games of 2021 video that my friend Kira and I put out December, which was not that long ago. My favorite game of the entirety of 2021 was Resident Evil Village, and just to give you the short end of it, it was a really, really great experience from front to back. I'm a huge fan of horror games, so being able to, you know, see the series revitalized from 7 and then continue on some of the winning traits of 7 into 8 was awesome, and a lot of the visual storytelling was really cool. I love the sort of gothic inspirations that game had, and all the characters in them are super memorable. Obviously, Lady Dimitrescu was a huge one in 2021, and you know, it was just front to back, just a really, really engaging game. So, there you go. And worst game I played this year, you know, worst game, I feel like is a little bit harsh, so I'm going to go ahead and say most disappointing game is what I'll go ahead and call this next one, but I think I expected way more from Back 4 Blood, which, for those of you uninitiated, Back 4 Blood, oh my god, I can't say the word, was supposed to be a sort of spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead games, which I love, even still to this day. I spent so many hours in that game back in my original Xbox 360, just playing through the campaigns multiple times, and with multiplayer with friends. That game is so highly replayable. Both of them are. And, you know, with that notion and with that selling point into Back 4 Blood, I was really kind of expecting that sort of same experience. And I really can't put into words what it is exactly it is about that game, but something about it just doesn't quite feel as enchanting as Left 4 Dead does. And, you know, there's no knock to the developers or anything, because Turtle Rock is actually comprised of a few of the developers that worked on Left 4 Dead. It's just not the same, you know? So I definitely was expecting more from that game, but I wouldn't say it's a bad game either by any means. So there you go. All right, our next question comes to us from Goose, who asks, throughout your whole content creation career, what piece of work are you most proud of? You know, I love that you asked this question just because I had to sit here and think about it. But there's actually a few answers to this, and I'm going to go ahead and give you those right now. So I actually feel like I've done some of my best work recently, and I'm super proud of the creepiest moments in Zelda history video that we put out with, I think it was Nintendo Fangirl, Alex from Zelda Universe, Amanda Van Heil, and myself. And I feel like that video came out really, really great. And I'm so proud of myself for putting something of that scale together. And I also am super proud of the way that our music video came out this year. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I'll flash it on the screen, I'll put it in the description or whatever. But I feel like that came out really well. That was my first time, you know, editing something like a music video. I've never done that before. And I also really feel like Kira and I's top 5 best games of 2021 video came out really well as well. So there you go. 3 different answers that were all relatively recent, the most being 3 months ago. So yeah, those are my favorites as of recently, for sure. Next question comes to us from Corin, who asks, what is the greatest JRPG of all time? So, I'm not the biggest JRPG guy, but, you know, I have 2 answers because I'm not sure if the one that first came to my mind counts, but the first one that came to my mind was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I know Final Fantasy VII is a widely regarded series. I mean, if you couldn't tell by the fact that Square Enix just throws it into every single crossover that there could ever exist, kind of goes to show you how much of a legacy that game has left. But somehow I've managed to stay spoiler free over the years. So getting to be able to experience the world of Final Fantasy VII for the first time in the remake was super immersive, and I just loved experiencing the world of Midgar and all the characters and story and stuff like that I've heard so much about over the years. So Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of them, and then the other one, Persona 5 Royal. I started playing that around a year and a half ago. I'm still making my way through that game. Trust me, it's a big game. And, you know, I haven't beaten it, but the game that I've played through thus far is really good. I'm really, really enjoying my time with it. The characters are really great. The music is, oh, so good. So good. And I'm just really loving that game. And I hope that answers your question. So anyway, to wrap that thought up, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Persona 5 Royal. There you go. Next question! All right! Next question comes to us from Ginger Cake, who asks, what's the worst game you've ever played? I'm looking for a hot and spicy take here? Oh gosh, the worst game I've ever played? Okay, well first off, before I answer this question, I think congratulations are in order because your question, Ginger Cake, is the one that I've actually had to think about the most out of every single other question that I've been asked so far, so congrats. But you know, if you're looking for a hot and spicy take here, the worst game that the worst experience with a game that I've had over my years of playing video games has probably got to be Destiny. And I say that because I know a lot of people love Destiny. I have a couple friends that do, and it never really grabbed me, you know? I put a good chunk of hours into the original one on my Xbox whenever it first came out. I don't even remember when that was, but you know, I played through it, I played the story, and I bought into the excitement because it was Bungie's first game, you know, outside of the Halo series. This was their first one, and everyone was like, oh my god, this is so cool. We loved all the Halo games that came before this. Destiny is going to be like a sort of their own spin on it because they can't use Halo anymore, obviously, because that belongs to Halo, like Microsoft and 343. And it came out, and it was just meh. I mean, outside of the story and everything, I mean, the multiplayer is decent. There's definitely better multiplayer experiences out there, but, you know, a lot of the game came down to just grinding for levels and items and loot and stuff, and it's not like shooting a bullet sponge boss is necessarily the most fun thing to do whenever you're grinding for items. So, you know, I will say it's got its own merit, and you know, I can see in the mind of someone else, I can see why that they would enjoy it, but I just personally don't like the aspect of grinding for levels and things like that. Maybe it's gotten better over the years in Destiny 2 for updates and everything, but you know, the impression that it left on me the last time I played it was just, I wasn't a fan. So, there you go. Hot and spicy take. Hopefully that was hot and spicy enough. Our next question comes to us from Zane, who asks, what do you want to do most in the future? Okay, so this question's a little broad, but I think the best answer I can give you is I hope I'm doing something that makes me happy. You know, obviously doing this and hanging out with you guys, streaming, making content for video games makes me happy. But I think also working in video games would achieve that same effect. And, you know, maybe doing a mix of both, that would be really cool. So, you know, hopefully sometime in 5 years, I can say that, you know, this or working in video games, the industry itself in general, is what I end up doing. But, you know, who the heck knows what the future holds? So at the very least, I just hope that whatever I'm doing in the future, it's something that I enjoy and something that I'm passionate about. All right, and it looks like that was our last question. So I guess that concludes today's Q&A segment. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question today. It was so fun to get to sit down and answer all of you guys' burning questions. I hope you all enjoyed, and who knows? Maybe we'll have the opportunity to do more of these kinds of segments for more milestones in the future. Anyways, I think that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. So with all of that said, and without further ado, there's only one thing left to say before we take off for the night. And that is, of course, as always, I'm alecandstuff. Thank you guys so much for 3,000 subscribers. And I will see you all again very soon. Bye!